I remember like as a young child, like waking up in the middle of the night with, like as young as 7, with a feeling of, I'm going to die one day. I'm going to die one day and there's going to be nothing. Like I remember thinking, the stars will be gone, my cat will be gone, everything will be gone, and I'll be gone, and it will just be dark, and there'll be nothing, and there'll be absolutely nothing. And before that happens, my parents are going to die. And then I'd have to get out of bed, go into my parents' room and just stand in their doorway looking at them, like making sure they were alive and everything was fine. And I'd go back to bed and I'd have to try and like think of other things to block it out of my head. And this happened throughout my entire childhood and my teen years as well, where I would frequently just have nights where I couldn't get to sleep because I was so anxious thinking about the thought of, I'm going to die. I get a message from one of my friends from Belgium and haven't spoken to them in ages. Have you heard about Stefan? Stefan was one of my closest friends in Belgium, and he'd had cancer before. So when I got this text, I thought, oh, like he's got sick again. And he's like, no, I think, can I call you? So he spoke on the phone. He said he's not sick anymore. He died. He died yesterday. The shock, numbness, but then like a deep sadness, the fear of death just coming back again. Like this was one of my closest friends. He was 23 at the time, and then the guilt. I didn't even know he was sick. He was one of my closest friends. Didn't even know that he'd had a brain tumor come back, and then within a really short space of time had just deteriorated and died. I got in contact with Stefan's mum, obviously, about Stefan dying. I'm really, really upset and distraught, but my main feeling is guilt that I didn't get in contact with him, that I didn't know. I wish that I had. I have so many regrets around this. And her response back was, before Stefan died, he was completely at peace. Actually, he smiled because he knew where he was going. And I remember just reading her email back thinking, Stefan knew, he did know where he was going when he died. And I have no idea where I'm going when I die. And I am terrified of death, and I'm terrified of life. And I just keep running. I was like, I've got to get serious about looking into this. I've got to figure out whether there is heaven, whether there is something more, because this just isn't working. I was on this search for life and for meaning, but in that trying to grieve and having to grieve, I was waiting for a train. And I just remember looking at the tracks thinking, I'm not suicidal, but for the first time in my life, I can see how people get there. That thought terrified me, and I thought, no, I can't be that person. I was like, I've literally got nowhere to turn. I can't see this sadness ever leaving me. I'm never going to escape people dying. People are just going to keep dying, and I'm just going to keep losing people. All my friends are going to die, and then I'm going to die. This just seems like a cycle of death and sadness, and I can't see a way out. And I remember what my friend had said to me about Jesus and joy. And so waiting for that train, I just prayed my first sort of prayer to Jesus. And I just said, Jesus, if you're real, I'd really like to feel some joy. I'd like to feel a break in this sadness and a break in my grief. I'd just like to feel some life again. And in that moment, I did feel joy, and I felt for that. I remember I started laughing, and the train came, and I got on the train laughing, and I thought, oh, that couldn't have just been me. Like I felt sad for a really long time. I felt low for a really long time, and I've wanted to feel happy. I've wanted to feel joy and laugh, but I haven't been able to, except from when I've been drunk or on a night out, and that's been fun, but not just waiting for a train. Like, there must be something in this. Like, Jesus must be real. In all that time, so as soon as I became a Christian, I think one of the most radical things that God did in my life was take away my fear of death. Yeah, since that moment on the train, I've never had a moment where I've woken up and thought, oh no, one day I'm going to die, and then there's going to be nothing. Because as soon as I met Jesus, I knew that heaven was real, and I knew that I was going there. That was very, very real to me, and it's still very real to me.